as Masali shared, I was hesitant about this topic, but I also sort of try to pay attention to what the Great Sacred is telling me. And I thought, well, goodness, you come to Easter service and everybody just, we should just be all jubilant and joyful. And we are going to get to rebirth and resurrection and that. But descending to hell, that's a pretty woo to be talking about on Easter Sunday. But then I thought, if we pay attention to that Apostles' Creed, that descent to hell, as the story goes, comes between Friday and today. So when else would we talk about it? And we can say, well, we're talking symbolically about the hell that a friend or family member might be in. But I also think of how Jesus speaks of, in the Gospel of Luke, you must pick up your cross daily. Well, if we're picking it up daily, that's something symbolic. And Jesus saying, the kingdom of God is in your heart. So maybe this is a very appropriate way to speak of hell. And I think about it. Sometimes you'll see somebody's face when they're really angry and their features are contorted or they're kind of bent, or maybe it's me or you. My goodness, I think they're in hell. I think I've been in that hell. And what does it mean, like Avalokiteshvara and like the Christ? As Thich Nhat Hanh says, what does that mean? Or as Thich Nhat Hanh says, what does that mean to go into that hell with someone? As I was thinking about this, I thought about my friend Ron. I've known him since maybe 1974, 75. I'm getting to be an old man. And my sister died in 2006? 2007? Well, Mom remembers. And our family's from up in Northeast Ohio, near Youngstown. I was living in Columbus at the time. My friend Ron was living in Cincinnati. It's about 5 hours from Cincinnati to Youngstown. But Ronnie knew. He knew my sister. We had actually vacationed with her. She was quite a bit older than us. When we were teenagers, we had gone on vacation with her and her family. But beyond that, Ron's my friend, a very dear friend. And so he chose to drive the 10 hours, 5 hours to Youngstown, stay at his brother's place for a night or two, and drive the 5 hours back to be at the funeral, to be with me. Why? Because, like Jesus, Ron said, my friend is in hell. I must go to him. And he did. If I were to tell you the wise words that Ronnie said, I can't. Because I don't think he had any wise words. But he knew that he didn't have to have wise words. He knew just to be there was enough. Thich Nhat Hanh writes about being with people when they're suffering. Many times, and I'm guilty of this on a number of occasions, someone's going through their suffering and you want to fix it. You want to solve their problems for them. like many others, Thich Nhat Hanh, they call him Thai. Thai suggests, well, why don't you just try listening? And you listen to try to understand. As Father Edward Hayes said, when you go into that hell realm, you don't have to affirm or condemn. You might, maybe you think that they kind of put themselves in hell from decisions they made, but you don't have to confirm or defend or anything. Just be with them and try to understand. And I love what Thai says. He says, but even more deeper than understanding is just listening, even if you don't understand. Because when someone is suffering and they're saturated with suffering, it tends to spill out. Maybe as fear, maybe as anxiety, maybe as anger, maybe as hate. But if they're truly listened to, the suffering tends to be reduced. And like Avalokiteshvara, we can do that with many people. I've done it sometimes, but oftentimes I haven't. I don't know about any of you, but like, you know somebody who really needs a phone call, who really needs you to stop by, and you don't? My own fears, my own anxieties, I'm not strong enough for this right now. Some of those times haunt me. Somebody going through a difficult time, and I wasn't there enough for them. What does that mean when we're there for them? Where's there? And I think that's part of what Jesus is inviting us into. Think of when he says, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. In all those hells, you show up. You just show up. We were talking yesterday, Ollie and I, we had a long ride, and we were talking about a number of people we know right now, family members, friends, who are going through a lot of suffering. And it's true, right? No matter how many people you help, you can look back and say, oh gosh, look at all these people in their hells. And maybe like Avalokiteshvara, you can just shatter into 1,000 pieces. But I love that image of the snowflakes. The Buddha's coming back and bringing them back together. And in this mythical tale, what happens? He ends up with 11 heads and 1,000 arms with an eye in each hand. This is weird, right? It's just strange stuff. But then I started thinking, and of course I'm always looking for connections, like, oh, Jesus is gone, and he has these 11 apostles. And I think of, if I had, well, I have these two eyes, so I can see folks sitting out here, I could see into the camera, but you can see behind me. I have a limited point of view. But if I had 1,000 hands and an eye in each one, I would have a lot more perspective. So maybe even when we fail and we feel like we're breaking apart, maybe we come together. Maybe we could be something more, something stronger, something more helpful, something more compassionate to others. I love the part in that story from the Buddhist tradition of the two tears, and they become the two Taras, the white Tara and the green Tara. We chose to give the middle name of our daughter, our youngest daughter, Tara. And it says, Tara means she who brings us to the shore of compassion, who brings us across the shore. That's what Ron was trying to do for me. Bring me across the water. Now I have a Good Friday practice. Some of you might be familiar that some people on Good Friday from noon to 3, these are the hours when it's said that Jesus is on the cross. Some people will maintain silence. And I have a practice of going to a cemetery and being in silence and being in prayer for those 3 hours. Well, I go to when I'm in Columbus on a Good Friday, I go to an old cemetery down by the Olentangy River. And we've had a fair amount of rain the last few days, or there's been rain around. So I went, and before I got to the cemetery, I sat on a bench by the river. I've never seen the river this high. There was no way, I'm not a very good swimmer, but even a great swimmer would have a heck of a time making it across that river. And I thought, what does it mean to ferry someone across the shore to the other shore of compassion? It's hard. And it's scary. And maybe it's even sometimes a little bit dangerous. What if the boat spills? What if I drown? What if I drown in their sorrow? I'm not sure I want to be around that person with their cancer. Or this person whose loved one had that car accident. Or their kid who's got an addiction. Or this person who's going through this difficult breakup. I don't know if I want to go to that hell. But maybe at least sometimes, like Jesus and Avalokiteshvara, we can. I'm so grateful Ron did for me. That Good Friday tradition, by the way, this is a side note. I'm Irish, so I get to tell little side stories. The first time I did that, I think, was in 1985. I was 22 years old. I was in grad school in Boston. I spent the time in the cemetery there. My 22-year-old son sitting over here. That was 38 years ago. And I was thinking, if I do this for another 38 years, and we don't know how long we have, that would have me being 98 years old, on the cusp of being 99 in the year 2061. If I'm around, I hope I'm doing it. Because these practices are also part of what strengthen us and enable us to do what we're here to do. Ollie and I, we gave up certain foods for Lent. Didn't have any wheat, no processed sugar. So this morning we were really enjoying the sweet cake. And Easter bread from Youngstown that we had brought. And maybe there's something to that. Recognizing that if we allow ourselves to be there for others, to try our best to be there in their hells, that then maybe when we come back for rebirth and resurrection, it's even more potent. Maybe like a Avalokiteshvara, we have more points of view. Maybe we become kinder. Maybe we become more appreciative. I'm going to share with you a reading on resurrection from Matthew, a reading on rebirth and resurrection from Thich Nhat Hanh. And this one, I did something I haven't done all the years since 2009. I threw a few of my own words in with Thai's and melded them together. And then we'll sing verse 3 of the song. So we'll begin with Matthew 28. You'll hear the word Sangha when Thich Nhat Hanh is right. It's a word not familiar to all of us. It means, essentially when he uses it, the same as church or spiritual community, or any folks that we have spiritual connection with. And that too is part of what gives us nurturance. Because I think, well, I have 2 eyes, but in this room there's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's like 20, 22, 24 eyes in this. Count the dogs. We've got lots of eyes in the room, so there's lots of possibilities of seeing. So, Matthew, chapter 28, verses 1 through 10. After the Sabbath, as the first day of the week was dawning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary went to see the tomb. And suddenly there was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord, descending from heaven, came and rolled back the stone and sat on it. His appearance was like lightning, and his clothing white as snow. For fear of him, the guards shook and became like dead men. But the angel said to the women, "Do not be afraid. I know that you are looking for Jesus who was crucified. He is not here, for he has been raised. As he said, come, see the place where he lay. Then go quickly and tell his disciples, he has been raised from the dead. And indeed, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. This is my message for you." So they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy and ran to tell his disciples. Suddenly Jesus met them and said, "Greetings." And they came to him, took hold of his feet and worshipped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There, they will see me." The second reading is from Thich Nhat Hanh's book, adapted from his book, Going Home, Jesus and Buddha as Brothers. And I will ring the bell as part of this reading, and of course you're invited into mindfulness. Every time you touch the seed of mindfulness, and mindfulness manifests in you, life is possible again. In a state of distraction, body and mind are not together. If you are lost in the future or in the past, you're not alive. But when the seed of mindfulness in you is touched, you become alive, body and spirit together. You are born again. Jesus is born again. The Buddha is born again. Resurrection occurs. When you hear the meditation bell, you stop your thinking. You stop what you're saying, and the bell rescues you and brings you back to your true home, where the Holy Spirit and mindfulness are alive. There you are born again, resurrected once more. You are born several times a day. Thanks to the Sangha, the spiritual community surrounding you, this is the practice of resurrection. We die so many times a day. We lose ourselves so many times a day. And thanks to the Sangha and the practice, we also come back to life several times a day. If you don't practice, then when you lose your life every day, you have no chance to be reborn again. Redemption and resurrection are neither words nor objects of belief. They are our daily practice. And we practice in such a way that the Buddha is born every moment of our daily life. Jesus Christ is resurrected every moment of our daily life, born every moment of our daily life. Not only on Christmas Day or on Easter Sunday, because every day is Christmas Day. Every minute is an Easter minute. The child within us is waiting each minute for us to be resurrected, to be born again and again. You are born in order to die again. This is the fact. If the Sangha, the church, and the teacher are not there, you are likely to die again. You may die for a long time before you have a chance to be reborn and resurrected again. The Sangha, the spiritual community, is your chance, your opportunity. The Sangha is your life. We have to make steady progress in our spiritual life. There are many people who, after being baptized, will sin and confess, sin and confess, sin and suffer again. Is there any progress made as a result of that process? If there is not, then we have to transform our situation. We cannot afford to let things go on and on like that. It's a tragedy and also a comedy. We have to let our faith grow. To help our faith grow, we have to let our love grow. And because our faith and our love continue to grow, our happiness will also grow. If you are not peaceful, happy, and strong, how can you expect other people to be strong, stable, and whole? We know that without the Sangha, without spiritual friends, and without continuous practice, we cannot grow steadily. Instead, we'll be off and on, up and down, up and down. We arrive nowhere. That's not really the spiritual life we want. So let us sit down together as a group of brothers and sisters, as a Sangha, to practice looking deeply again into our lives and how we conduct them. We're supposed to be born already in our spiritual life. How do we take care of our life so that each time we are resurrected, we can grow stronger? If mindfulness is cultivated in our daily life, if concentration and insight are cultivated in our daily life, if loving kindness is cultivated in our daily life, our faith and our love will grow stronger and stronger within us. We will become more open, more tolerant, more kind toward other people, more caring toward our planet and toward other beings. We will begin to become who we are here to be as students of the Buddha, as disciples of the Christ, as children of our Mother Earth, and as children of our ever-living